In this episode of the Christian Business Mentor, we have our Q&A series, and I'm super excited to have Gary Cucchi here. And he's an incredible human being, runs a great business, and he's got some questions. Let's dive in.
Awesome. Thanks, Skylar. Appreciate you having me here.
Gary's he's wearing the Rise Up Kings shirt, Rise Up Kings graduate, obviously, and runs a very successful company. I had the pleasure of getting to know a lot more about it. And so he's here today to dive into some questions and see if we can get some answers.
Glad to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, totally. So what's on your mind?
Yeah, so...
or tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So 22 years ago, I started a residential and commercial insurance agency and a wealth management firm.
Okay.
So we've scaled it. We currently have 33 employees. So never expected it to get this big, and that's kind of why I got the questions.
Beautiful. Yeah. Sounds great. We'll let's dive in.
Awesome. All right. So first question, Skylar, something I struggle with a lot is what are some best practices for delegating tasks and responsibilities? I find myself having a hard time as we've scaled from 20 employees to 30 plus employees, delegating some tasks to free up time. I can't continue to take on more responsibilities as we grow.
It's a great question. I think that's a challenge most business owners, CEOs have, is figuring out how to get to the next level. So one of my favorite tools or methods for that is personally or a team member is ideally getting to the next level, right? Maybe it's a promotion or maybe it's just looking to release some things that are no longer effective for them to do, is I have them fill out a task delegation sheet. And so I'll have them always, if I have a client, I'll have them fill out a spreadsheet, and it has all their tasks listed out, everything that they do on a weekly, monthly basis, and sometimes daily. And then they write out everything they do, and then do they want to keep it? Do they want to delegate it, or do they want to delete it? And can it be removed? So do they need to keep it? Is it something that is most valuable to them? And I think many times entrepreneurs, they hang on to things that aren't the best use of their time, but they're just good at it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you're good at it, but it's really not producing the highest ROI in the business. For me, it was funny as I was growing Superior Restoration. I'm a graphics guy. I'm a branding guy. I love that stuff. And so I loved making our business cards. And so I ended up holding on to that for like 7 years in the business. Because I was so quick, I could get it done in 5 minutes, right? A whole new set of business cards for each team member. And eventually my team was like, hey, it's time for you to let that go.
You graduated from that.
Yeah. Even though, right, we had a, right, $6-7 million business, I was still wanted to hold on to the business cards. So I think writing these tasks out and then getting clear on, hey, what do I want to keep? What's the best use of my time? Where do I have the greatest impact in the business? And then the next one is, hey, do I need to delegate it? And which ones can I delegate to? So being able to hand those off, and you may realize you need a new team member, or maybe your team member's not competent, or you're lacking a role. So figuring out who to delegate, and I always put their name next to who I'm going to delegate it to, and then delete it. And I feel like every couple years, it's important to do this list, because you'll find other tasks randomly getting on your plate, and that could be a bunch of emails that you're getting that are, you don't need to get the emails anymore. Right. And so we just get inundated. And so I think that's an effective process. And then most people I found aren't effective at delegating, right? So they'll hand something off, but they don't properly train the team members on how to do it effectively. And so one of the ways that I like to train, and I teach this to my team, is when you're training, you want to do it with them. So you want to do the specific task with them. You do it first, then you do it with them watching, then they do it with you watching, and then they do it. So there's a 4-step process, but then you check up in a month. You check in and you go see, are they still doing that properly? So again, you do it, they watch, they do it, you watch, and then you actually end up following up. So very simple process, but
yeah, it makes sense.
Most people do not do that. They'll say, hey, you know what? You start putting the lead in the CRM. All right, good luck.
Right. Yeah, that's good feedback.
Yeah,
like
so
that.
Being able to actually train them properly, because so many owners are like, hey, I don't feel like they'll do a great job at it. Well, yeah, right. How well do you do training them? How long do you spend training them? Do you spend a week, or is it just 30 minutes? And you say, good luck. So I think that's important. And I think it's necessary for CEOs to level up. So if you want to get to the next level, you do have to get rid of some of the tasks that are on your plate.
Wow. Great answer. Thank you very much.
It's simple and it's necessary.
It sounds simple, but amazing how many people don't do that. So definitely need to implement that.
And it's great. And it's great for team members too. So when you're looking to have a manager level up, I always have them write out the things that they do. So each manager that I'm leveling up, if they're in the field and they want to get to more management level, hey, what's everything that you do? And then who do we delegate that to?
Right.
And so I actually walk them through that process, and I do it with them to make sure that we help strategize their role. Because I know if I can get a good person to be an effective manager, the only way it's going to happen though is if they get rid of the stuff that is not effective. That's maybe $20 an hour work. How do we get rid of all that stuff?
They have to pass that stuff down. Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I hope you're enjoying this video. I'm the founder of Rise Up Kings, the largest faith-based personal development organization in the country. And it's our mission to reach as many people as possible to help them live lives of excellence, all to glorify God. We do this through our content that you're watching now. We do this through our seminars. So if you're enjoying this, please subscribe and share. Let's get back to the video.
Good. All right, got another one for you here.
Yeah.
All right. So as we've scaled and we continue to scale, what are some suggestions to better manage cash flow during periods of expansion?
Yeah. So growth sucks cash.
Yeah, it does.
Yep. So growth sucks cash because, right, as you're growing, you're bringing on new resources, new people, and many times you haven't produced the sales or the revenue or the cash for those people yet that you brought on board. So it's going to suck cash. And so we have to be aware of that, though. A lot of people are ignorant to that fact that, hey, when you grow, your cash will get strapped. Depending on how well your AR and your AP are. And so let's talk about that for a moment. So first off, having an effective cash flow management strategy, you'd have to know some things. So you have to know what your AR days are, your accounts receivable days. What's your actual average days? How long does it take for you to collect? Super important to know. Is it 30 days, 15 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120? How long does it take for you to collect? And then your AP days. What are your average AP days? On average, how long does it take you to pay your accounts payable? And so the closer those two get, the better the cash flow gets. So if your AR is 60 days, but you're paying everyone in 15 days, then that's going to create a major cash flow crunch. And so first off, you got to know what your metrics are. And so AR, AP, and if you're in manufacturing, your inventory is a critical metric to track. Is on average, how long does your inventory stay inside of your organization or before you sell it? Right. And so AR, AP, and inventory days, how many days? And so the goal is to start to bring those together. So if you know you're going to grow, then you got to start to figure out, hey, how can we collect faster? What incentives can we give to collect faster? What contracts can we have that pay quicker? And then how do I delay accounts payable? So how do I have a conversation with the people that I pay and say, hey, you know what, can I push this back 3 days? Or can we pay you in 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks? Right? Having those conversations, that 1 week, an average of 1 week will make a giant transformation in cash flow if you can delay payments. And so people many times think, well, I want to pay as quick as possible. Yes, you can, but it's going to negatively affect your cash flow in a pretty serious way. So I'm not saying to stiff people and don't communicate with them. Be a great Christian business owner by having a conversation. Say, hey, you know what? We're tight on cash. Can we push this back a week moving forward?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I find myself doing that. I pay things right as they come in, but lots of times we get paid. It sometimes takes months to get paid and can put us in a tight financial situation sometimes. A follow-up question to that, actually. When do I know when it's time to stop growing? I feel like for 22 years, I've almost constantly been in growth mode. And, the old saying, you feel like you always got to constantly be growing. If you're not growing, you're going to fall dying, right? And so, when do I stop growing and say, hey, it's time to now really focus on being profitable?
Well, the way I've typically ran organizations is I'll usually grow for 2-3 years straight with accelerated growth. And then I'll usually have a leveling out year where we catch up on profitability. So I don't know if a long-term strategy of not growing is effective because of how competitive the market is. Yeah. So if you're not growing, you may lose team members that feel like there's not opportunities there. Okay. You know what I mean? So long-term, no growth strategy is ineffective, I would say. But in the short term, having some no growth years and catching up on profitability, creating efficiency in the business, really building systems and processes, I think is a very good strategy to catch up. right? Because as you're growing, it's sucking all your cash. So have a catch-up year where you just have a very high cash flow year, right? And you produce a lot of profit that year, stack that to the side, and then continue the growth phase. And it really depends on what your goals are. Like, is your goal to build it in a way to sell it? Or is your goal for it to be a lifestyle business or to build a certain amount of wealth? Your aim plays a big part into growth also. So if it's just a purely business strategy, I think 2, 3, 4 years of growth and then a catch-up year is great. But otherwise, getting clear on, hey, why do you have the business and what's the overall plan? And the way I love building businesses is build it so that at any point you could sell it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like always have the business ready for sale just in case. And so a lot of people think, well, I'm not going to sell the company, so I'm not going to go systemize it and get all these, these people in place that I need. But no, I would challenge you to go build the business in a way that if at any moment someone said, hey, we want to buy it, the business is totally set up for sale. The systems, the processes, the people, everything's ready to go. The second reason why you want to do that is the business will just run better if that's your intention. If your goal is to build a business, that one of your goals to have it be ready to sell, you'll always build it better knowing that. So it's just a good strategy to have in general.
Great. Awesome. I got 2 more questions for you. All right. Next one is, what metrics should I track to measure the health and growth of my business?
Yeah, that's great. So the difference, are you familiar with the difference between leading and lagging indicators?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. So leading indicators, just to clarify for the people watching, are usually indicators that lead to the lagging. So let's say a lagging indicator might be revenue or sales. The leading indicator might be business development activities, right? And so I know you've done a great job building your scoreboard and your metrics. You went a little crazy on that.
Thanks to you.
yeah, I'm glad it's working out. You did that faster than I've seen most people do it, and man, that is one of the most comprehensive scoreboards I've ever seen. You have every metric you could think of. It's beautiful. And the most important metrics, though, I believe, employee turnover is a really important metric. So what is your turnover, and how do you track that on a yearly basis to make improvement on it? Cash flow metrics. What's your DSO, days sales outstanding? What is your business development activities? So very important to track business development activities or marketing activities to know, hey, are we leading? Are we trending in the right direction? Because your business development activities, right, will tell you where your business is going to be in a month or 2 or 3 months. So it's good to know so you can course correct quickly. Other metrics would be just cash flow metrics. Hey, what's our average 90-day? What's our AR at 90 days? And then obviously sales, revenue, net profit, gross margin is really important too. So gross profit, gross margin, and seeing how well or how efficient you're delivering your product or your service. So those are some base metrics that everybody should be tracking on a monthly basis.
Good. Awesome. All right. Last question for you, Skylar. What should my focus be with developing a long-term business vision?
It's great. So something that I like doing is spending time each year going away and doing some strategizing. So I'll go and I'll spend time, usually a day typically end of November or December, and I'll go away by myself. So I'll go get a hotel room somewhere or go camping somewhere, and I'll go out in nature, and I will pray and spend time with God and be present with what the Lord wants for me. And then I write out my vision. So I write out a 1-year, a 3-year, and a 5-year vision to get clear on where I'm going. Right, where there is no vision, the people perish. Right, we all know that verse. And so having a vision is really important. There's so many people that are winging it with their vision, and we can get caught up. I can get caught up in that sometimes. So I dedicate time to clarify my vision and where I want to go. So I'd say that's number one. You got to spend time with God. Not only you got to spend time alone, not only for your own vision, but where does God want you to go?
Yeah.
Right, not just what do I want in my business. What does God want for your business? Is it to be used as a platform to help other people? Is it time to sell it and go do ministry? What's the vision? What do you feel convicted on, and where do you feel God is calling or pulling you? And then putting a plan together to go execute on that. So I think time alone, spending time in nature, spending time with God, writing out a 1, 3, 5-year vision where you break down exactly where your business, where your family, where your fitness, where your faith is going to be. Like I typically write out 4 goals, and I write it out. So this is how I do my vision. So I'll actually go and I'll say, hey, it's going to be December 2029, right? December 2029. This is how my life looks. And then I write it from that perspective. Our business is the biggest that it's ever been. We're impacting more people than we've ever could have imagined. This many people have been impacted, right? We've hit, 80,000 people. We've done this. We've done this. My marriage is on fire. I'm closer to God than I've ever been. I really list out, and then I break down some quantifiable goals inside there that we've accomplished. So basically, what have I accomplished and who have I become at the end of this 5-year period? And that's my vision I get to live into. And so my goal is to look at that every quarter or more and remember, hey, where am I going? And the interesting thing is I've done that for years. So if I go back, I can see my previous 5-year visions, my 1-year visions from 10, 12 years ago. And so I get to see what was accomplished just by getting clear on my vision. The likelihood of it happening increases tremendously when we get clear. So that's something that I think is important. And then
do you share that with others too? I mean, is that something that helps you make sure you stay on track, sharing those visions with others?
That's a good. No, I actually don't. I don't share that, not because I have any issues against sharing it. I haven't had. Great question. I don't know who. I think that would be valuable actually.
Because I think sometimes you have goals in life. If you share them with people, sometimes it helps hold you accountable to doing it. Right.
That's great. I love it. I definitely share the business specific vision with all of our team and as many people as I can, but my overall life vision, I don't typically share. Yeah. Beautiful point on that. I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This has been awesome, Skylar. Appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you.
Yeah,
you're a stud. You're a solid guy. You're a great family. And honored to have you inside of this community and look forward to continuing to grow with you.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
Thanks.